Good morning, and welcome to CSL Greater Boston, a place where souls are nurtured and lives are lovingly transformed through the learning, practicing, and living the science of mind philosophy. My name is Reverend George Stewart. I prefer Rev G, right? Isn't that what everybody calls me here? Thank you. And I am privileged to be in service along with Reverend Ed Tansey as one of your spiritual leaders and founders of this community of beauty and light and love here that we call Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston. So I welcome all in the sanctuary this morning, and I also welcome our viewers who are joining us on Facebook Live. We are so grateful for you, and we would love to see you in person. So certainly, if you are ever in the area, we are located in beautiful Cambridge, Massachusetts at 50 Dudley Street, and if you've only heard the talks, you've missed the music. And isn't the music good? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Yes. So we are grateful for all of the financial support that we receive for this live stream ministry. And if you have not yet opened your life to that divine circulation of abundance, we welcome you to go to our website at cslboston.org and click on the Donate tab, which is on the left side of the page in the lower corner, and begin the financial circulation of good in your life. So, we are joining the Centers for Spiritual Living in the global theme of 100 Years of Science of Mind, 2018. It's very, very exciting to be a part of this. We've been doing this for at least the last 2 years, I believe, since they began this process. And this is just a really exciting year because we are celebrating 100 years of actually the publishing of his first book, which was before The Science of Mind, which is Creative Minds. So, and this month, January, is Living the Science of Mind. So we are learning about living the science of mind. These are the basic principles of our teaching. And January has always been a month when we talked about our early learnings and how we, use these things in our life. This morning, what I'm going to talk to you about is science, superstition, and common sense. So this is very important. And I want to thank Rev Ed for creating this slide last week. He said, I'm going to do the title slide. So I was very excited that you did that for me. So thank you, Rev Ed. I appreciate that. So today I'm going to discuss these three things and how they relate to science of mind. So let's start with science. So I went online to look what is science. And so online in the online dictionary it says it's a noun, and it means the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiments. Would you agree? That's what we know as science, right? We learned in the science class when we were kids, or maybe as we got older, we had a great fascination with science. I actually got more of one once I found this teaching. So Ernest Holmes goes on actually to say that science is absolute knowledge insofar as the facts of science are demonstratable. So he's saying basically the same thing. It's the demonstration. When they talk about that online, when they're talking about, the observation and the experimentation, it's doing it to get the same result, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, is to get the same result. So that's where we move into what Ernest Holmes brought us in so many ways with this teaching. He created the scientific prayer, which we talked about briefly last year, which we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. And it has a demonstratable quality to it. So what I wanted to do was to go through the formula of spiritual mind treatment, just to briefly remind us of how it's actually working. So the formula is C plus B equals A. Sounds like we're in an algebra class, doesn't it? So what does the C stand for? What we can conceive. So what we can conceive is the C. The B is what we can believe. So we're combining those two. And then what that equals is what we can achieve. So we take what we can conceive, we add it to what we can believe about what we can conceive, and then we bring about the achievement of that. So it's a powerful realization. It's a powerful realization of, and that is how spiritual mind treatment works. It prepares us to be in that place of achieving. It moves us into the demonstration of our life. So I want to just go ahead and talk about that briefly. I discussed it last week on Sunday, the spiritual mind treatment and the steps of spiritual mind treatment. It's always good to review because this is a good time to review. And we're in January, we're getting our lives back on track, hopefully, at this point, if we don't already have them on track, and we're just staying on track, which is even better. So when we talk about spiritual mind treatment, we have the first step, which is recognition. Recognition, we say God is all there is and is all things I might desire. So that would be the achieved, right? The desire would be the achieved, what I wish to desire or experience in my life. Unification is that I am one with God and all that I desire. So everything that I want to achieve, I'm already one with. So that's the idea is coming through the divine circuits to wake me up. The next step is then realization, which is declaring or affirming my desire or what I wish to achieve in my life, right? What do I want to achieve? And then the fourth step is thanksgiving. Accepting and giving thanks for my desire as though I already have it. We talked about this last week, right? If I do it in the future, what's going to happen to that achievement? It'll be in the future, and it'll stay in the future as long as I keep it in the future. So I want to make sure I do it in the now, as though I've already got it. You know, when we look at, you know, if you're biblical and you like the Bible, you know, Jesus would pray and give thanks as though it already happened, and then it did. So it's our consciousness that brings that about. So that thanksgiving step is very important. And then the last thing we do is we release. I have the faith, the law of mind makes it so. When I release it, I have to completely and totally release it. I have to let it go. I can't hold on to it anymore. Why is that? What happens if I hold on to it? Right. You can't achieve it. If I'm not willing to let go of it, then I haven't affirmed it. And, you know, as Reverend Ed said in the first part, when he did the introduction, he talked about that, you know, we have to embody what that is. So the release is actually helping us to embody and make it so. So it's always good to review that because, you know, I love spiritual mind treatment. I do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, depending on what's going on in my life in that day. And I most especially do it when those times which I've worked at, because I didn't always do it, in those times when it feels like I'm out of alignment. Because that's what it does. It brings me back into alignment with my divine truth and what I want to be. So Ernest Holmes combined the best of philosophy, science, and religion. And that's how he brought forward the science of mind philosophy. And it is such a blessed, blessed thing that we have here. So Ernest Holmes says in The Science of Mind, the first principle fundamental to the understanding of the operation of thought is that we're surrounded by an infinite intelligence. Quantum energy field, for those of you who like science, quantum energy field. We're surrounded by this quantum energy field. The possibility of healing physical disease, changing environment, attracting friends, and demonstrating supply through the power of right thinking rests entirely on the theory that we are surrounded by an infinite mind which reacts to our thought according to law. So there's a lawfulness going on here. That's why we are science of mind, mental science, you know, religious science, which is what we used to call ourselves with religious scientists. You know, now we're Center for Spiritual Living, but it's the same idea. We are constantly using this law that we're talking about. This is the creative energy. This is where our thoughts and beliefs combine, like I said before in that formula, where they combined to bring about the achievement, the thing we wish to experience. So this is the power of this. What he is saying is that our thought is creative. And in the creative process, which Reverend Ed discussed last week, our thoughts are basically becoming things, experiences, all the different, how your life is showing up, how your life is being experienced, how that's coming forward for you. So, in case you missed last week, and those of you who have had Beyond Limits, you're probably familiar with this slide. This is the creative process. Now, we simplify it here by saying seed, soil, plant. What this means is that the seed, anybody can tell me what the seed is?
Thought.
Thought,
Yeah.
ideas, right? Conscious mind, right? Conscious mind, exactly. And what is the soil?
Subconscious.
Subconscious,
Creative
law,
medium.
creative medium, plastic. And what does it do? Right? It brings forward what?
The plant.
The plant, which is the form of our life, the demonstration. So we can actually take that formula that I did earlier of conceive, believe, achieve. See how that works? And that's new. We didn't have that in Beyond Limits. So that's a good one for those of you who are making notes about these things that you want to do when you pray. Because when people hear prayer, it's so powerful. And the words that we use need to resonate with us. And we want to make sure that they're resonating with you. And any of you who like these slides, most of them, this one we won't actually because it's copyrighted, but the other slides that I've made, you'll be seeing those on Facebook. So if you're on our Facebook, you'll see them there. So, all right. So now let's talk about superstition, right? So in the online dictionary, it says it is a noun, a widely held but unjustified belief in supernatural causation, leading to certain consequences of an action or event or a practice based on such a belief. Well, that's a lot of stuff to say. It's like superstition is fear. It is. I don't do that, right? So let's look at some of the wonderful superstitions in the world, right? Ooh, Friday the 13th, right? There's all that fear around that. Interesting thing about that, though. As I went online and I was looking at the superstitions, in Greece, it's Tuesday the 13th. And Tuesdays are already ominous, but Tuesday the 13th is even worse. So isn't it interesting how these superstitions have grown through different cultures and different belief systems? Here's another one. This one I love. This is right. This is the awkward family photo, right? 101 years old. She's like, so this is actually a superstition. In some parts of Europe, lighting a cigarette from a candle is bad news for sailors. I don't know why, but I just think I found that picture online, and I was looking for someone lighting their cigarette on a candle, and I saw that, and I said, have to do that. That's just too good. Like it busts all those ideas about smoking. Right? All right, here's a really good one. Keys on table. Keys on table. In Sweden, it is considered bad luck to put keys on a table. It's very interesting. Wait till you hear why. I love the why. Because in the old days, prostitutes would put keys on tables in public areas to attract clients. So needless to say, folks will probably be, you can see how this superstition developed. So to avoid risk of misunderstanding, a superstition rose up to prevent people from doing this accidentally. So in Sweden, don't put your keys on the table, okay? Here's a really interesting one. I thought this one was really interesting. So according to old Pennsylvania German superstition, a female visitor in the new year means bad luck. Really? Sounds very sexist to me. How about you? Sounds sexist to me. So interestingly enough, in the Pennsylvania German superstition, it says that if your first visitor in the new year is a woman, you'll have bad luck all year long. If your visitor is a man, though, you'll have good luck. Right. Does that sound sexist to you? I'm hearing the sexism in this, but so this is even better. They further believed it's considered bad luck to take a bath or change your clothes between Christmas and New Year's. And if you change your underwear between the holidays, you will be full of boils. So you see what we're talking about here. We're talking about all of these crazy superstitions that we sometimes just buy. Does anybody know of a superstition that comes to mind that you can think of?
Bad luck.
What's that?
Bad luck to walk under a ladder.
Yeah, bad luck to walk under a ladder, right?
Break a mirror.
What is it?
What's it?
Break a mirror.
Break a mirror. That's
Yeah,
right.
7 years bad.
7 years bad luck. Absolutely.
Not cutting off the ends of a ham before you cook it. It would bring bad luck in the future.
I've never heard that one, but that's a good one. So I want to. Oh yes.
You shouldn't split the pole when you're walking with someone. It means you'll be separated.
Yes, I remember that one. Yeah.
That still sticks with me.
Isn't that funny? Isn't it amazing the things the things that we let stick in our consciousness, right?
Don't step on the lines in the side.
Don't step on a crack, you'll break your mother's
Break
back.
your mother's back, right? Remember that one? I love it. So here's a funny one. I actually used to only pick up coins on the ground that were facing heads up, because somewhere I had heard that it was bad luck to pick up a tails up coin. So I would never pick up the tails up coin.
Look at all the money you lost.
But interestingly enough, I'd never questioned that if it was a $100 bill. Would anybody else question that if it was a $100 bill? You wouldn't care what side was up. You'd be like grabbing that, right? So we have to think about what it is that we're doing. I realized at one point, though, as I moved on and I started to, take these principles and so forth, I realized it's like, wait a minute, if the universe wants to give me money, I should take it without question. I shouldn't question it. I should just take it. Because there's no power in that except for what? The power, my belief. The power I give it with my belief. So that's what's going into that law that we talked about before, that's creating that form that we don't want, or maybe do want. So superstition is fear-based. Would you agree?
Yes.
Now, Ernest Holmes, and I love this statement by Ernest Holmes, that which today seems to be supernatural, after it is thoroughly understood, will be found to be spontaneously natural. Black cat crossing your path, right? But you see, Ernest Holmes is like saying, no, let go of the superstition. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us anymore. So think about things that you realize that you may do. I know there's people who believe, like, if you touch your hair a certain way, you have to do this, or whatever it is, that there's all these different things that we hold on to. So we need to release that stuff, knowing that there's a universe that's supporting us without needing to do anything other than be conscious and aware of what's going on in our lives. So you have to see how important it is what power we're giving to what we're thinking and believing, because that's what we're planting in that law. This is why I pay such close attention to my thoughts. I do not desire to be putting fear or superstition into that formula I mentioned earlier, which is the formula of conceive plus believe equals achieve. Let's say that together. Conceive plus believe equals achieve. Because I want to achieve the highest and best. And that's what the universe wants for us, but we're the ones who get in the way. So think about what you're conceiving, and then realize what belief you're attaching to that, so that you know you're achieving what you desire in your life. You're achieving the good, the joy, the peace, the perfection, and the wholeness, which is what God wants for you, right?
Yes.
God wants the good for us, because we're one with God, and if we're one with God, why would it withhold anything from itself? So when I'm living small, then I am not glorifying the energy that I am. So it's powerful. We have to realize that. So I'm sure that you guys, what I just shared there was the same thing that you guys would believe for yourself, right? You want to have those higher achievements. You want to have those better things in your life, the better life that we desire. Does it just mean physical things?
No.
No. What is it really? Bottom line, if we were to say, what is it really that we want? The peace, the truth, a consciousness, oneness of unity, right? Those are the things we want. Everything else is just the stuff that comes. It's like, when you think of the kingdom of heaven, everything else will then come to you. And that's a paraphrase of the biblical quote, but it's that same idea, that everything is always there for us. So we need to be aware of what we are saying amen or and so it is to in our lives. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we don't want to be saying things like that to the things we don't desire. And so it is not. How's that? Except the universe doesn't get not. That's the whole thing. You have to be careful about that. Universe doesn't get not. It just gets the basic idea and goes, there you go, you have it. So now let's talk about common sense. In the online dictionary, it says it's a noun that means good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. Is that what we want?
Yes.
Right? Good, sensible stuff going on in our lives. So if I take the time to use these spiritual principles and practices and tools that we learn here in the Science of Mind philosophy, I am returning to common sense. Would you agree?
Yes.
That when I'm caught up in superstition, or I'm too caught up in science, I'm missing the common sense piece that is like saying, it's already there for you. You know, I can know about the science, but I need to take the science from the intellectual into the heart. The longest journey from head to heart. Because when I can bring the intellect into the heart, it becomes much more, I consider, divinely centered. Because when I'm divinely centered, then the good that I desire, everything else is just gravy. The good that I desire is peace, joy, love, unity, oneness, perfection, wholeness, abundance, overflowing opulence and prosperity. And everything else is just the icing on the cake, as you will. Although nobody eats cake here anymore, right? No one except Rev G. So.
And Liza.
Oh, and Liza, yes. Oh, and Travis, yes. Good. Yes, we gotta have our junk food junkies. Anyway, so Ernest Holmes said, the laws of nature are universal. Our use of them is individual and personal. This is the secret of spiritual mind practice. That's the secret. Anybody ever watch The Secret? Right?
100 times.
100 times, right? And yet the secret is missing pieces, which is fine. It's just purely the law of attraction. But he's talking about spiritual mind practice. Being in practicing this all the time. How do we get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, right? Exactly. So we realize that that's what it is. So common sense to me is simply using what we learn. I can have this book. I think I mentioned this last week. I can have this book. I can read it. If I don't practice it, I don't get what it talks about. Is that true?
Yes.
And that's true of any book we get. I always love those. You go into the store and there's all these books for self-help. And I always think, you know, that's great. And I know people who have read them, but then they don't practice it. And I'm like, but it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work if you don't use it. So that's what it's about. And we talked about that last week, you know, that we need to use it. So part of the reason we come together here every week is to remind not only ourselves, but each other to practice the principles in every area of our lives. Would you agree?
Yes.
And by coming together, we become each other's mirror. And when I'm not in my place of balance, I can look to you for the balance that you can say, you know, Rev G, you're a little out of alignment right now. And I'm willing to listen. Because that's what we do here. We support each other. We lift each other. We build each other's perfection and wholeness because we hold that. Because sometimes it's easier to hold it for someone else than it is for ourselves, right? That's why we have practitioners. Because practitioners can hold the truth when we are not ready to hold it or unable to hold it ourselves. And Ernest Holmes had a practitioner, which you're right, I just went on and saw that. It was Hazel Holmes, his wife, was his practitioner. I think before that before Hazel went his life, I think it was his mother. I know his mother was the first practitioner of Science of Mind. It's very, very interesting how all of this unfolds. But they've been going through the history in the Science of Mind magazine, and I'm way behind in my reading, but they did 1947 to 1950 something, and they talked about that in there, so I actually got to finally read that. I'm just way behind on my reading of the Science of Mind magazine. So do we do any of these practices and principles with shaming or blaming?
No.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Never. And do we love ourselves when we're in that place of struggling with something?
Yes.
Because we need to. We need to love ourselves through all of this. Because we've had enough. The blame and shame, what has it gotten us? Nothing. So we need to be in that place of love and kindness. And we are in that place of love and kindness and care when we do that with each other here. When I see you're not in alignment, I lovingly find a way to tell you and let you know. And I hope that it works the same way for me, that you would do that with me. Are you willing to do that?
Yep.
You see that I'm out of alignment. Are you willing to lovingly tell me?
Yes.
Let me know.
Yes.
Thank you. Or Rebed,
Please.
because I know he welcomes it as well. So let's stay in a place of love and kindness. And always know that the divine energy is bringing forward our highest and our best. Because that's what it wants. And that's what we're here to do, is to be that. Namaste.
Namaste.
So I'd like to have our wonderful practitioner intern come up and do our spiritual mind treatment this morning.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. So, the omnipresent power that is everywhere, that is within all of us, each of us, that power that is perfect, whole, and complete, all-knowing, all-willing, giving, the truth, the beauty and the joy, that power God is in each of us and is in our hearts and in our souls as we embody and we know the truth of our own being, each of us, as we realize that we are aligned with this vibrational energy, that vibrational energy that is not only in this very room, but within our very bodies, that vibrational energy that is everywhere out in the vast universe that is infinite and ever expanding. As we know this truth, as we feel this truth, I know that each of us can create for ourselves that which we really, truly, fully desire. I know that the desire of each of us is to have a balance and harmony in our lives in an easy and effortless way, releasing all our fear and doubt about superstitions, about mass consciousness thinking, and knowing that we are surely to be successful when we align with that vibrational energy within ourselves and accept that we can bring about the perfect wholeness within ourselves, that each of us has that power within our thinking, within our belief system, within our ability to be willing to achieve our greatest successes because of this truth. There is never any doubt, there is never any fear when we stay in balance and harmony. It is with gratitude that I express this truth to the universe for letting us know how powerful each of us is. We each can achieve that which we desire. We each, without doubt, can know and can process all of the good in our recognition and our unification, in our realization, gratitude, and then, of course, in our release. And I would like, at this time, to release this treatment to the universe, knowing that the law of mind acts upon it for each of us. With that, I would like to have you join me in saying, and so it is.
Thank you, Barbara. And so, knowing you feel ready, remember what we talked about in class. Would you like me to announce that to the community?
Sure.
So, in Practitioner 2 training, our practitioner interns are open to do sessions, and that's like an hour or so that you spend with a practitioner to clear something that may be going on in your life. And because they are interns, they can't be paid for this, but they can say, please give something to the center or something like that. And I think that Barbara is ready to do practitioner sessions. So she's offering that to us as a community. You can contact her and set up how you want to do that. You can do it on Skype, I know, or you can do it on the phone, whatever works best for you. But it gives her an opportunity to practice what she's been learning in class. And she's a powerful practitioner already. I know this about her. So, all right. So let's join in the affirmation together. The affirmation comes from Ernest Holmes, 365 Science of Mind, May 6. So those of you who might have it on your phone, you can look it up. I allow the divine wholeness to flow through me in ever-widening fields of activity. Every good I have experienced is now increased tenfold. In every joy that I have ever experienced is now multiplied. I think we need to do that again, don't you? Yes. I allow the divine wholeness to flow through me in ever-widening fields of activity. Every good I have ever experienced is now increased tenfold. Every joy that I have ever experienced